these aren't just rugby players. They're something far more dangerous. From a war hero and founding member of the Special Air Service, to a madman who played Russian roulette and lost, these are the 30 most savage rugby players in history. The nickname says it all. Brian Lemur wasn't just a tackler, he was a destroyer. Hailing from Samoa, Lemur played in an incredible 5 Rugby World Cups, a record for any backline player. His fearless approach to the game earned him a reputation as one of the hardest hitters rugby has ever seen. Known for his perfectly timed tackles, Lemur had an uncanny ability to stop even the fastest runners dead in their tracks with bone-crunching precision. One of his most infamous moments came during the 2003 World Cup when he delivered a thunderous tackle on South Africa's Derek Hoogaard. The collision was so brutal, it left spectators in shock, with commentators describing it as legal but right on the edge. Such tackles earned Lemur his moniker, the chiropractor, but his career wasn't solely defined by physicality. Over 2 decades of international rugby, Lemur earned 65 caps for Samoa, a testament to his durability and skill. He also played for the Pacific Islanders, contributing to their physical and spirited playing style. Beyond his bone-crushing defense, Lemur was a reliable winger with sharp attacking instincts. His longevity, leadership, and unmatched ferocity made him a true icon of the game, inspiring generations of Samoan players to embrace fearless rugby. When rugby fans talk about toughness, Wayne "Buck" Shelford's name is almost always mentioned. His legend was cemented in 1986 when he famously played on after a ruck injury left his scrotum torn and his teeth knocked out. While many players would have limped off the field, Shelford was stitched up on the sideline and back in the game within minutes, epitomizing the grit that defined his career. Shelford's toughness went beyond enduring physical pain. His leadership during the 1987 Rugby World Cup was pivotal, helping guide New Zealand to their first ever title with an unrelenting drive for excellence. Following the tournament as captain, he turned the All Blacks into a ruthless, cohesive unit, famously leading them to a 14-test unbeaten streak. Shelford's legacy is also marked by his relentless commitment to his teammates. He demanded the best from those around him, fostering a culture of resilience and discipline. Whether through bone-jarring tackles or his unshakable composure under pressure, Shelford became the embodiment of All Black tradition. His influence on New Zealand rugby endures, and his name remains synonymous with unyielding courage. The Welsh game of the 1970s was built on power and passion, and Bobby Windsor was at the heart of it all. Known as the Duke, Windsor was a key member of the fearsome Pontypool front row. A hooker by trade, Windsor's strength and scrummaging technique were legendary, but it was his attitude that defined him. Windsor played rugby with the mentality of a street fighter, often outlasting and outmuscling opponents who underestimated him. He earned 28 caps for Wales, helping the team to multiple 5 Nations championships. Off the field, Windsor was just as tough, with stories of his no-nonsense approach to training and life becoming rugby folklore. Few players have left a mark on rugby like Colin "Pinetree" Meads. Representing New Zealand from 1957 to 1971, Meads became a symbol of all-black dominance. At 6 feet 4 inches and 100 kilograms, Meads combined brute strength with unmatched endurance. One of the most famous stories about Meads is the time he played an entire game with a broken arm. When the doctor cut away his shirt and confirmed the break, Meads muttered, "At least we won the bloody game." That level of toughness wasn't just rare, it was unheard of. Meads' approach to rugby was simple. He played to win, no matter the cost. His 55 test caps and countless provincial games for King Country cemented his status as one of rugby's all-time greats. Jerry Collins wasn't just tough, he was terrifying. The Samoan-born flanker, nicknamed the Human Wrecking Ball, played for the All Blacks from 2001 to 2007, earning a reputation as one of rugby's most feared tacklers. Standing at 6'3" and weighing over 110 kilograms, Collins brought a level of physicality that few players could match. His thumping tackles left a lasting impression on opponents and fans alike. In one memorable match against Wales, Collins delivered such a devastating tackle that it seemed to reverberate across the stadium. His physical dominance was matched by his rugby IQ, making him a defensive pillar for the All Blacks. Off the field, Collins was known for his humility and dedication, often taking time to connect with fans and mentor younger players. Collins' strength extended beyond rugby. He was a player who symbolised grit and commitment. Tragically, Collins' life was cut short in a car accident in 2015, but his legacy as one of rugby's hardest and most respected men continues to inspire. Today, his legendary fearlessness and unmatched work rate are remembered as hallmarks of a true enforcer in the game. Norm Hadley may not be the first name that comes to mind in discussions of rugby's greats, but his toughness was undeniable. A 6'7" second-row forward, Hadley played with a level of aggression that made him a standout for Canada and in the English Premiership. Hadley's most famous moment came during the 1991 Rugby World Cup when Canada faced off against France. His powerful runs and uncompromising defence helped Canada punch above their weight, earning the respect of fans and opponents alike. Hadley's mix of size, skill and tenacity made him a player that no one wanted to face. In the early 1900s, rugby was a different game, but David Bedell Civite played it with the same toughness that would define the sport for decades to come. As captain of Scotland and the British and Irish Lions, Civite had a reputation as an aggressive and hard rugby player, as well as a ferocious competitor. He was an inaugural inductee into the Scottish Rugby Hall of Fame, and in 2013 was inducted into the International Rugby Board Hall of Fame. Standing at over 6 feet tall and weighing nearly 100 kilograms, a giant for his time, Civite dominated scrums and mauls with ease. Off the field, he was a surgeon, known for his sharp mind and quick wit. Bedell Civite's dual reputation as a scholar and a hard man makes him one of rugby's most fascinating figures. Scott Gibbs wasn't just a hard man, he was a game changer. As one of Wales's standout centres in the 1990s, Gibbs earned his reputation through ferocious tackling and unstoppable runs. Known for his low centre of gravity and immense strength, he was nearly impossible to bring down. His most iconic moment came in 1999, when he bulldozed through England's defence at Wembley to score a breathtaking try that secured Wales's historic victory in the dying moments of the match. That run remains one of the most celebrated tries in rugby history, a testament to his power and determination. With 53 caps for Wales and multiple British and Irish Lions tours, Gibbs was a true warrior on the field. His defensive strength was unparalleled, with opponents often remarking on the sheer physicality of his tackles. During the Lions' famous 1997 tour to South Africa, Gibbs played a crucial role in defeating the Springboks, with his hard running and punishing defence embodying the spirit of the series. Gibbs's legacy is one of raw physicality combined with incredible skill, making him one of the toughest backs the game has ever seen. Gerald Cholley wasn't just a rugby player, he was a force of nature. Representing France in the 1970s, Cholley's size and strength made him one of the most feared props in the world. At 6'4" and over 120 kilograms, Cholley dominated scrums and left opponents battered in open play. Cholley's playing style was simple. He overwhelmed his opponents with brute force. In 2006, the Sunday Times' Stephen Jones voted him the most frightening French rugby player of all time. That's some accolade, considering Cholley faced competition from the likes of Alain Estève, aka the Beast of Béziers, and Michel Palmi, who once partially blinded a man with a punch. Finally, there is the remarkable story of Paddy Mine. Before he became a war hero, Paddy Mine had already carved out a fearsome reputation on the rugby pitch. Born in Ireland in 1915, Mine was a towering figure, both in stature and in presence. Playing for Ireland and the British and Irish Lions, he was a forward whose physicality could turn the tide of any game. His tenacity and raw strength made him a formidable opponent in scrums and mauls, and his ability to inspire teammates was unmatched. However, it was during World War II that Maine's legendary status truly came into focus. A founding member of the SAS, Special Air Service, Maine became one of the most decorated soldiers of the war. Known for his bravery and ingenuity, he led daring raids behind enemy lines in North Africa, Italy, and France. His exploits included sabotaging aircraft and supply lines, often under heavy fire. Maine was credited with destroying over 100 German aircraft during one of his most audacious missions. Rugby fans and military historians alike see Maine as the embodiment of toughness, courage, and resilience. Whether he was charging into a ruck on the rugby field or leading a perilous SAS mission, Mine approached every challenge with unrelenting determination. His dual legacies as a fearsome rugby player and a wartime hero remain unparalleled, cementing his place in history as a true icon of grit and bravery. When you think of rugby's hardest players, Bakkies Botha immediately comes to mind. Known as a true enforcer, this 6'8", 270-pound South African lock was a nightmare for his opponents. Botha's career spanned over a decade, with 85 caps for the Springboks and countless brutal encounters on the field. But what made him so feared wasn't just his size, it was his sheer physicality. From crushing tackles to dominating rucks, Botha's presence on the field was nothing short of intimidating. In one famous exchange in a game against England, Bakkies set his sights on Matt Stevens, who, despite being from South Africa, represented the Red Rose of England, something Botha saw as unforgivable. At the first opportunity, Bakkies would strike Stevens, who had to leave the field to receive 14 stitches. Upon Stevens' return to play, Bakkies would strike once more, cutting the English prop open once again. At half-time, the then-captain John Smith uttered, "Bakkies, I think that's enough," to which Bakkies replied, "Just one more, please, captain." Botha formed an infamous partnership with Victor Matfield and was the backbone of South Africa's 2007 World Cup winning squad, and his aggressive playing style embodied the Springboks' reputation for uncompromising rugby. Botha's ability to impose himself in key moments, such as high-pressure matches against the All Blacks, solidified his reputation as one of the hardest players the game has ever seen. Next, we have Namibia's Jax Burger, a man who redefined the art of tackling. Standing at 6'2" and weighing just over 220 pounds, Burger wasn't the biggest player on the field, but he was arguably the toughest. Known for his fearless commitment to defense, he once made 26 tackles in a single match against Wales during the 2015 Rugby World Cup. Burger's career included standout performances for Saracens, where his physicality and relentless work rate earned him a cult following. What set Burger apart was his sheer willingness to put his body on the line, often emerging from matches bruised and bloodied, but with an unshakable determination that inspired teammates and terrified opponents. When asked about his seemingly superhuman pain threshold, Burger simply said, "You can't think about your body when you're on the field." This mentality made him one of the most respected and feared players in world rugby. Burger's ability to maintain his intensity over 80 minutes made him invaluable in close matches, and his leadership by example helped Namibia punch above their weight on the world stage. For fans and players alike, Burger symbolised the unbreakable spirit of rugby. Martin Johnson is remembered as one of rugby's greatest leaders, but make no mistake, he was also one of its hardest players. Standing at 6'7" and weighing 260 pounds, Johnson was a physical and mental giant on the field. His fearlessness was most evident during England's 2003 Rugby World Cup campaign, where he captained the team to victory. Known for his uncompromising style, Johnson dominated scrums, line-outs and collisions, setting the tone for England's forward pack. Beyond his physicality, Johnson's intimidating presence and no-nonsense leadership made him the ultimate hard man. Whether playing for Leicester Tigers, England, or the British and Irish Lions, Johnson's name struck fear into opponents and commanded respect from teammates. His ability to stay calm under pressure was legendary, and his habit of stepping up in crucial moments made him indispensable. Johnson wasn't just hard, he was the player who refused to let his team falter no matter the odds. Keith Murdoch's name is synonymous with mystery and raw physicality. The New Zealand prop gained infamy during the All Blacks' 1972 Tour of Britain when he was sent home after an off-field incident. Whilst details of the event remain unclear, Murdoch would go on to disappear into obscurity and never play rugby again. On the field, Murdoch was unstoppable. At 6'2" and 250 pounds, he was a powerhouse in the scrum and a wrecking ball in open play. His hard-hitting style earned him a reputation as one of rugby's toughest forwards. Though his career was cut short, Murdoch's impact on the game endures as a reminder of the raw power and unpredictability that defined rugby in the 1970s. He remains a figure of intrigue, with his reclusive life post-rugby adding to his legendary status. Murdoch's lone international try, a match-winning effort against Wales, stands as a testament to his ability to rise to the occasion when it mattered most. With his wild hair and beard, Sebastien Chabal looked every bit the part of a rugby hardman, and he backed it up with his play. The French number 8 was a ferocious ball carrier and tackler, known for leaving opponents sprawled across the pitch. Nicknamed the Caveman, Chabal's physicality was legendary, and his performances for France and clubs like Sale Sharks made him a fan favourite. Beyond his hits and carries, Chabal brought an aura of intimidation to every match he played, turning him into a global rugby icon. What made him stand out was his ability to switch between moments of raw aggression and surprising finesse, a rare combination for a forward of his size. Chabal's off-field persona only added to his fame, but on the pitch, he was all business, delivering performances that left a lasting impression on fans and opponents alike. Frick Dupree isn't just one of rugby's hardest players, he's one of its greatest pioneers. Playing for South Africa during the 1960s and early 70s, Dupree was a versatile forward who could dominate both as a lock and a flanker. Known for his immense strength and fearless tackling, he was a cornerstone of the Springboks' success. At 6'3" and 230 pounds, Dupree combined physicality with athleticism, making him a trailblazer in the second-row position. His contributions to South African rugby have earned him legendary status, with many still considering him one of the greatest players of all time. Dupree's ability to adapt to different roles within the pack made him invaluable, and his exploits against the All Blacks remain iconic moments in rugby history. He was more than a hard man. He was a complete rugby player who defined an era. Trevor Brennan was the quintessential hard man of Irish rugby. Known for his no-nonsense playing style, Brennan was a ferocious presence on the field, particularly during his time with Leinster and Toulouse. Standing at 6'5" and weighing 250 pounds, Brennan brought an edge to every match he played. His ability to dominate in the physical exchanges made him a key figure in the pack, and his fearless approach often saw him clash with the toughest opponents. Brennan's passion for the game and willingness to stand toe-to-toe with anyone earned him a reputation as one of the hardest men in rugby. Beyond his physicality, Brennan's leadership qualities helped drive his teams to success, and his fiery attitude often inspired those around him. Off the field, he remains a beloved figure for his larger-than-life personality and love for the sport. Standing at an imposing 6'8", Wade Douly was aptly nicknamed the Blackpool Tower. This English lock, who was also a police officer in Blackpool, was a dominant force in the 1980s and early 1990s, known for his physicality and uncompromising style of play. Douly's ability to impose himself in the line-out and at the breakdown made him a cornerstone of England's forward pack. His hard-hitting tackles and no-nonsense approach to the game earned him widespread respect, and his presence on the field often intimidated opponents before the match even began. He famously broke the cheekbone of Welsh player Phil Davies during a typically ferocious game between England and Wales in Cardiff in 1987. Douly retired from the game after returning home from the 1993 tour of New Zealand following the death of his father. His replacement was a young Martin Johnson, who would go on to become one of England's greats. What set Douly apart was his ability to stay composed under pressure, making him a reliable figure in England's greatest battles. Whether representing England or his club side, Douly's performances consistently delivered, leaving an indelible mark on the game. Tomas Lavanini represents the modern era of rugby hard men. The Argentine lock is known for his fiery temperament and aggressive style, often pushing the boundaries of physicality. At 6'7" and over 260 pounds, Lavanini is a towering presence who relishes the physical battle of the game. While his career has been marked by a few disciplinary issues, there's no denying his impact as a hard man in rugby. Whether playing for Argentina or his club teams, Lavanini's physicality and passion for the game make him a standout figure in modern rugby. His ability to dominate in set pieces and deliver game-changing hits has made him a fan favourite. Despite his fiery approach, Lavanini has shown flashes of maturity in recent years, adding depth to his already formidable game. Armon Vakar was a cornerstone of French rugby during the 1970s and 1980s. Known for his prowess in the scrum, Vakar was a 10-time French championship winner with Béziers and a feared opponent in international rugby. His relentless work ethic and ability to dominate the physical exchanges made him one of the hardest props of his era. Vakaran's contributions to the game weren't just about brute strength. His technical expertise in the scrum helped set new standards for front row play. Beyond his technical skills, Vakaran's leadership and unyielding spirit made him a symbol of French rugby's golden era. His untimely passing only added to the legend of a player who gave everything to the sport he loved. On July 10, 1993, Vakarin spent the evening drinking at Le Cardiff, a bar he co-owned. The bar's name was a nod to his exploits with the French rugby team against Wales in Cardiff. That night, after rounds of wine, Vakarin reportedly pulled out a revolver he had recently purchased and suggested a game of Russian roulette to entertain the patrons. To prove his point, he took the first turn himself. Tragically, the gun fired, killing him instantly. He was 42 years old. First up, Eben Etzebeth is a name that strikes fear into opponents. At 6 feet 8 inches and 280 pounds, this South African lock is a mountain of muscle. But it's not just his size that makes him terrifying, it's his relentless drive. Etzebeth has over 130 caps for the Springboks, 2 Rugby World Cup titles, and a reputation as one of the best locks in history. His strength is legendary. He curls 75-kilogram dumbbells like they're toys and bench presses over 175 kilograms with ease. Etzebeth changed the game by redefining what a lock could do. Before him, locks were mostly about scrums and lineouts. Etzebeth brought explosive athleticism and a knack for disrupting plays. In the 2023 Rugby World Cup quarter-final against France, he turned the game with his relentless pressure, charging down kicks and smashing into rucks. His ability to read the game and dominate contact points forced teams to double-team him, opening space for his teammates. Off the field, Etzebeth's intensity carries over. Stories of him staring down opponents before matches are the stuff of legend. He's not just a player, he's a psychological weapon. His impact pushed rugby union toward a faster, more physical style, where locks aren't just set-piece specialists, but all-around game changers. Rewind to the 1950s, and you'll find Kevin Skinner, a New Zealand prop who embodied toughness in an era when rugby was raw and unforgiving. Skinner played 20 tests for the All Blacks between 1949 and 1956, a time when props were expected to dominate scrums and take punishment without complaint. At 5 feet 11 inches and around 220 pounds, he wasn't the biggest, but his strength and grit made him a legend. Skinner's defining moment came during the 1956 series against South Africa. The Springboks' front row was manhandling the All Blacks scrum. Skinner, already retired, was called back for the 3rd and 4th tests. He didn't just stabilise the scrum, he demolished the opposition. His technique and raw power turned the series, helping New Zealand win 3-1. Some say he even used his fists to settle overly aggressive opponents, a move that was quietly accepted in that era. Skinner's influence went beyond his playing days. He showed that props could be the backbone of a team, not just grunt workers. His scrummaging masterclass set a standard for New Zealand's forward play, which remains a cornerstone of their dominance. Without Skinner, the All Blacks' legacy might look very different. Henry Twilagi, known as the Samoan bulldozer, was a force of nature. Standing 6 feet 1 inch and weighing over 260 pounds, he combined terrifying power with surprising speed. Twilagi played for Samoa and clubs like Leicester Tigers between 2003 and 2015, earning a reputation as one of the hardest-hitting players ever. Twilagi's strength was unreal. On the pitch, he was a one-man demolition crew. His tackles didn't just stop players, they sent them backward, often leaving them dazed. In a 2013 match against France, he flattened Mathieu Bastareaud, a 250-pound centre, in a collision that still echoes in rugby highlight reels. Twilagi changed the game by showing that brute force could be a strategy. Defences had to adapt to handle his explosive carries, often committing multiple tacklers to stop him. This opened up space for his teammates, making him a tactical nightmare. His style paved the way for modern power-based players, proving that raw strength could shift momentum in an instant. Jonah Lomu, the unstoppable force. Jonah Lomu wasn't just a player, he was a phenomenon. At 6 feet 5 inches and 260 pounds, the New Zealand winger redefined what a back could do. Debuting for the All Blacks in 1994 at age 19, Lomu became rugby's first global superstar. He scored 37 tries in 63 tests, including a record 15 in Rugby World Cups, a mark only equalled by a few. Lomu's impact was immediate. In the 1995 World Cup, he ran over England's Mike Catt in a moment that became iconic. His blend of speed and power made him unstoppable. Defenders bounced off him or were left grasping air. He didn't just score tries, he changed how teams approached defense. Opponents started bulking up their backlines to counter him, shifting rugby toward bigger, stronger wingers. Off the pitch, Lomu's story was just as powerful. He battled kidney disease throughout his career, yet still dominated. His charisma and humility made him a global ambassador for rugby, growing the sport's reach. Lomu didn't just change the game, he made it a spectacle, proving one player could capture the world's imagination. Michel Palmi, a French second row from the 1970s, was a symbol of rugby's gritty era. At 6 feet 3 inches and around 240 pounds, he played 24 tests for France between 1975 and 1978. Known for his raw power, Palmi was a scrum and line-out anchor during France's Grand Slam wins in 1977. His aggressive style made him a fan favourite, but also a target for controversy. Palmi's physicality was unmatched. In a 1978 match against Wales, his relentless tackling and maul dominance helped France secure a rare victory in Cardiff. However, he was banned for life from rugby after a violent incident in a club match, later overturned. His no-nonsense approach forced opponents to toughen up, raising the physical stakes of international rugby. He changed the game by showing locks could intimidate as much as they contributed. His era saw forwards become enforcers, a trend still visible in modern rugby. Palmi's legacy is in every lock who plays with unrelenting fire. Jamie Cudmore, a Canadian lock, was a walking battering ram. At 6 feet 5 inches and 250 pounds, he played 43 tests for Canada from 2004 to 2016 and starred for Clermont Auvergne. Cudmore's game was built on physical dominance. His tackles and ruck clearouts were brutal. In the 2011 World Cup, he set the tone against Tonga with bone-rattling hits. Cudmore's strength was legendary. His aggressive style drew criticism, including a 2015 Champions Cup suspension for a high tackle. Yet, his intensity lifted teammates. He forced opponents to match his physicality, raising the bar for second-row play. Cudmore's influence made locks more than set-piece players. They became enforcers. His legacy endures in players who bring controlled aggression to the pitch. Chris Halaufia, a Tongan number 8, was a powerhouse. At 6 feet 3 inches and 260 pounds, he played for Tonga and clubs like Harlequins and London Irish from 2004 to 2014. His explosive carries and devastating tackles made him a fan favourite. His ability to break tackles and gain meters after contact forced defences to adapt, often assigning multiple players to stop him. Halaufia had a no-nonsense approach, and his highlight reel is filled with jaw-dropping, borderline illegal hits that sent shockwaves through stadiums. When he lined up a tackle, there was no escaping the impact. Whilst his disciplinary record was poor to say the least, serving multiple bans, his inclusion in any side would strike fear and intimidation into their opponents. Richie McCaw, New Zealand's flanker, was toughness personified. At 6 feet 2 inches and 235 pounds, he played 148 tests from 2001 to 2015, captaining the All Blacks to 2 World Cup titles. His 2011 World Cup final performance, making 18 tackles against France, went a long way to securing the William Webb Ellis Trophy. McCaw's breakdown work, stealing balls and slowing play, was unmatched. McCaw redefined the flanker role. His anticipation and speed made him a turnover machine, forcing teams to protect the ball better. His leadership and grit, playing through injuries like a broken foot in 2011, set a new standard. McCaw's influence made the breakdown a battleground. His legacy lives in every flanker who fights for every inch, shaping modern rugby's intensity. That wraps up our list of 30 of the most savage rugby players in history. These hard men of rugby didn't just endure the physical demands of the game, they redefined what toughness truly means. Let us know who you would add in the comments below.